So we are today, this evening, this weekend, we are here to discuss about some very, very important matters relating to India. Now, in the message which you would have received, you saw that it was that this is a very important weekend. Not only is it Vaisakhi, which has a very important significance, not just for the Sikh faith, but for the nation, it is also today Ambedkar Jayanti. B.R. Ambedkar is credited as the father of the Indian Constitution. And today, what better day and what better weekend to talk about matters which pertain to our nation and the Constitution. To begin with, let me just quickly give a very brief introduction.
May I just take half a minute of your time?
Please, Paranjoy, go ahead.
It is not just Ambedkar Jayanti. It is the first day of the new year. Poila Vaisakhi, the first day of Vaisakhi. It's the day many parts of India, in southern India, you celebrate Vishu. So it's a day of hope.
Thank you so much, Paranjoy, for that, because I think it's much needed. The times that we are in, we absolutely need new hope, new energy, and we need a new India. And I'm hoping that today's panel and today's guests will be able to not only bring to light everything which has happened in the past years, but more importantly, solutions and answers on what needs to be done to take India back to being the Sone ki Chiriya. That's the dream and vision that I have. And we need to get out of all of this hate and polarization and whatever else is happening. I'll let my speakers do most of the talking. Yesterday, some very disturbing images and videos emerged from Manipur. The barbarism that was visible in those videos left everyone with a state of shock and speechless. So I want to start today's conversation with Manipur because it's been almost 1 year. 3rd May 2023 is when the tensions escalated and a civil war began in Manipur. We are almost 1 year down the line now, and yet we don't have any solution to that issue. So I want to start today's conversation with Tara, who not only hails from Manipur, but she's also the ex-chairperson of the ST Commission in Manipur. So without taking much time, I just want to request Tara to enlighten everyone on the actual ground realities, because the media, as we know, the mainstream media, doesn't even want to talk about it. Tara, over to you.
Yeah, good evening, esteemed panelists and viewers. Yeah, thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about my state, which is, as you know, is in turmoil since 3rd of May. So it is 1 year into the conflict. 1 year has been almost 1 year has passed. It will reach its anniversary on 3rd May. That the mayhem that was created between the Meitei and the Kuki community is continuing unabated. There is no sign of it stopping. It was said that this genocide, we call it genocide because many people lost their life. Almost 275 people have lost their life in a barbaric manner. Was actually well planned, and it was a pre-planned by the Meitei community headed by the Chief Minister of Manipur, who himself engineered all this conflict by using his radicalized youth known as the Arambai Tengol and Meitei Lipun to create havoc, and he gave them a free hand for almost 1 year to do whatever they want. So what happened was that on the night of 3rd May, very unexpectedly, I live in Manipur in Phal. the capital of Manipur, in a place called Imphal West, which is just 5 kilometers from the international airport. When at around 8:30 a.m., a mob of about consisting of about men and women attack my locality known as Paiteve. All this time we thought that we are actually we are Paite under the nomenclature called Kuki. Kuki has under Kuki community this nomenclature. There are 19 tribes, sub-tribe. Paite, Vaipe, Simte, Thado, all this. So Paite was one of them. When they came and attacked us suddenly, and we were caught unaware. And at a time when we had to flee burning homes, when the car was burned in our eyes, we had to flee, literally flee the house that was they have come to burn. What happened was that we had no idea what was happening. It was so surprising, and it was the most horrific experience that I and my family faced on night of 3rd May 2003. What happened was that then we were clueless. But in this 10 years, 11 months, almost 12 months, we came to know that it was a pre-planned, it was engineered by the state machinery, because now when they go and attack, we are physically and emotionally divided, the Meitei community and the Kuki community. There are two other community who are also living there known as the Nagas and the Meitei Pangal. Pangal means Muslim. Nothing happened to them, but this clashes between these two communities. So it was actually, their plan was to wipe us out from Manipur. Manipur has been my home for the past 59 years. Infal. Then the hills that was belong when Manipur got statehood in 1972, the hill area under the ADC bill, that is Autonomous District Council bill, was said to be that they have their own election, they have supposed to have their own assembly, and we are supposed to govern ourselves. We have the tribals of the hill area were supposed to govern ourselves when we got independent the statehood in 1972. And there was an Article 371C which protected the tribal living in the hills of Manipur. But what happened was this election were never held. This autonomous body was never given. We have been denied. And when if you look at the in terms of development between the Meitei and the Kuki, there were a lot of discrepancy. They are much way ahead of us. 10 times they are more developed. 10 times they are more richer than us. 10 times they are more advanced than us, because we are very simple tribals. And in all my life, I never thought I was an Adivasi. I never considered myself an Adivasi. I'm a tribal girl, of course, but it never came to my mind that I'm an Adivasi and then I'm being looked down upon and I have been discriminated upon, because all my life I have lived in India, in Delhi, in Jaipur, and Bangalore, and so many places. I never felt, I was never made to feel, so low as I was made to feel in this. The conflict that was taking place between my community and the Meitei community. We were chased out of a house like animals, literally thrown out of a house. In front of our eyes, our property were burned and damaged and looted. We were made to stand on the street for 2 hours, 3 hours, till the army came and rescued us and took us to the army camp, where we lived there 4 days with just a single clothing that we came out with. We were clueless what was happening to. We didn't understand what was the politics behind it. But almost 1 year into the conflict, the double engine government, because BJP is at the center and BJP is the ruling government in Manipur currently, we came to know that the plan was to annihilate, to wipe out the existence of the Kukis community from the face of the earth. I never heard of such ridiculous thing. But what surprised them was that the Meitei community was that they thought that they can come and attack us. They can come and wipe us out. They come and attack our villages. 70,000 houses has been burned. more than 200 Kuki villages had been attacked and burned by the Meitei, and they thought that they're going to they can win over us. But to the surprise, we give them a good fight. Until today, we are fighting for our rights as enshrined in the Constitution of India. Today being Ambedkar Baba Sahib birthday, we know that he is a father of the Constitution, and whatever he has given us in the Constitution, as a citizen of India, we also supposed to enjoy all the rights. But in this conflict that has been happening here for the past 11 and a half years, then what happened is that all our rights has been violated. All our right to shelter, our right to food and security, our right to distinct livelihood, our right life, has been violated. As if we are nothing. And then what happened? The worst part was that the world woke up, the world did take notice, but nothing can be. They don't do anything against it because it is supposed to be the internal matter of India. Modi ji can go and say that I'm so sorry that Israel has been attacked by the Hamas. But what happened is that he didn't say a word for what was happening to our state. We keep questioning the people of India. Are we also not India? Just because we belong to the Mongoloid race and just because we live in the far corner, which is next to Myanmar, we are in a tiny state. We are just cookies, just 16% of the population, while the Meitei are 54%. We are so insignificant in the eyes. We do not matter in their way of thinking. We do not matter at all. They do not consider us worthy of being significant or worthy of being taken care of. That's why everything our police has fallen on deaf ears. So far, no justice has been served to us. We have lost more than 271 people. The people we lost during the fight between the Meitei and the Arambal Tengol is a war between the youth. One is defending the villages and one is coming and attacking. But in all the narration in the press, which is actually in the press, which is actually what we call it, narrated by the Meitei media, which is based in the valley, it's all wrong narrative they pass up. They keep lying and they keep talking nonsense about our history. They think that we can change history. History cannot be changed. It's in the archive. It's written in it down. Maybe we don't have the hard copy of it, but it's available even in the British Museum, because when the British rule us in 1917 and 1990, the Kuki community rose in revolt against the British, mighty British, and saying that we will not listen to you all. You are not our rulers. We are ruling ourselves. We are tribals. We have our own tribal customary laws. So we fought the war. The whole world know about it. If you go to the British Library, it is written about the Kuki. If you go to the history in Tripura, there's a mention of the Kuki. You go to Bangladesh history, Chicago, the history is there about the Kukis. So we did not come from out of nowhere. We are also significant indigenous population of Manipur. And now they're trying to prove that we are not indigenous, but only the Tangkhul and the Nagas and the Meiteis are the indigenous population of Manipur, and we are being labeled as illegal immigrant, poppy cultivators, and narco terrorists and whatnot. Whatever they want to label us, they want to malign our name, our reputation to the world, and they give us such ridiculous name, like illegal immigrants. Everybody have relative in Myanmar because we are very close to each other, and we have a porous border where people move in and out. Our relative visit us. We visit a relative. I myself have never been to visit my relative in Myanmar. I don't even know if I have a relative there. So what happened is that, but why are we only the Kuki community being targeted? We have Meitei community known as Kathe in Burma. They have quite a large population of Kathe population in Myanmar also. So they has also come to visit their relative in Imphal and in other part of Manipur. So why are only Kuki being targeted as an illegal immigrant? There might be some, I admit, because of the porous border. People have entered and stayed back in Manipur. But that is the duty of the government to identify who are the illegal immigrants. Yeah. and deport
Tara,
them back.
sure. So,
Yes.
Tara, my one question is, and what got me kind of inclined to just follow everything that was happening in Manipur since May were two key things. One was that right from the start, the barbarism of the crimes, that a little child was burnt alive in an ambulance with his mother and aunt. There were terrorists who were freed by mobs. There was massive looting of arms done by people, which actually security experts say that this amount of looting without a bullet having been fired is not possible, and this is actually state complicity. And people should know that the amount of guns which have gone missing, which are all manufactured from taxpayers' money, more than 6,000, almost 6,000 guns, which include AK-47s, machine guns, carbines. You have close to more than 14,000 bombs, and you have 6 lakh bullets. All of this looted only till about August. That's when I filed my intervention application in the ongoing case in the Supreme
The
Court.
Supreme
And
Court. Yeah.
it was quite surprising that the court hadn't taken suo motu cognizance. And this is where I would like Ashok Arora to come in and share that in a given circumstance where there is almost 1 year of civil war and amount of looting of arms and ammunition, which even the CBI faced challenges with even investigating. CBI team went to investigate at one of the places where the looting took place, but apparently it was reported that allegedly a mob came and sat down and did not let the CBI team to go in. So the CBI team after some time just left. This is where we are from the terms of our key investigating agency. So I want to ask this question to Mr. Ashok Arora, that from a law perspective, from a judicial legal perspective, what should have been done and what should be done now? We are 1 year down the line, and the barbarism of the crimes is just increasing day by day.
Tara, thank you very much for telling us. I mean, it's such a sad commentary, I mean,
Yes.
I must say that India has failed. When I say India has failed, double engine has failed. When they say
Yes.
double engine ki sarkar, Supreme Court has failed. Let me start with Supreme Court. And when I say Supreme Court, I also include the lawyers. I mean, why the lawyers were not up in arms there, and up in arms means in argument when we say strongly why they did not argue. All these points what Tara was saying. And it's a big black blot on Indian democracy and civilized society. It is also a black spot on democracy of India, black spot on Parliament of India, and I must say black spot on Supreme Court of India. Despite having learned what has happened there, Supreme Court failed to take any remedial measure or any preventive measures. Just appointing 3 judges to take charge and tell them who should be given relief, who should be given how much compensation. I mean, even a district collector can do that. You don't need High Court judges for that purpose. The
Yes.
real remedy was to first of all stop it. And
Yes.
second was to immediately dismiss the government. Home Minister making a statement in Parliament, Chief Minister is cooperating. What is
Cooperating
this
with us.
language? Well,
Yeah.
who teaches them? This Home Minister, I mean, who teaches them law? I'm sorry, they're Sarkari lawyer. I'll call them Sarkari lawyers are total illiterate, insensitive. When the state machinery has failed, it is a ground to immediately suspend the state machinery. You can't say he's
Exactly.
cooperating. He's cooperating with what? He's burning the nation. He's burning women. He's defaming, and women are being raped. Women are being paraded. I'm told one of the Kargil Jawan's wife was also insulted and humiliated there. So what is this happening? That is why it's a totally state has failed. Supreme Court has failed. Parliament has failed. Chief Minister has failed. Home Minister has failed. Everybody has failed. And still they don't dismiss this state chief minister. Why they don't dismiss? Why president rule was not imposed? Our army is so competent. In couple of hours army can take control of everything. Why it was not given? I mean, till date, that I mean, say the shameless chief minister. I say shameless chief minister is still ruling. So my point, Samir, is that it is very important that we expose this, that whatever is happening, because I 100% believe in shame the name. Our Shastras talk of this, you know that. वो माथे पे कुत्ते का पंजा बना देते थे जो चोरी करता था. So we must shame them. Whosoever has committed this crime, whosoever has defended this crime, whosoever has failed to take control of these things, is total failure. And till date, Tara is, I mean, telling us that it's almost 1 year. It has not stopped. Samir rightly said, I mean, arms are looted and Chief Minister is still there. What else would be failure of state machinery? A nursery class student of law would tell you this means failure of state machinery. A nursery class student, we are today on the day of Baba Sahib's birthday. This is the time we must remind them. Baba Sahib said constitution is made good, but constitution would be as good as the people who would govern it would be. Now constitution is there, provision is there, but people are insensitive. People are criminal. I would use this word. Authorities are criminal. How would criminals implement this constitution? Constitution says dismiss him immediately, and you don't dismiss. And Supreme Court also rap on knuckle. Supreme Court did not perform its duty. The judges of Supreme Court failed to honor their own oath by not protecting Manipur. People of Manipur. I must say this. Let them summon me. I'll tell them you have actually failed. You have violated your oath. You took oath will uphold the constitution. What is upholding the constitution? Is not keeping the constitution above your hand and just put garland on Baba Sahib statue every year, once a day, once in a year. Upholding means you'll protect the women. You will protect children. Protect the society. That is upholding. And if you have failed to uphold, then you must resign. All of them must resign, I must say. I mean, this is shameless situation.
That's a very strong.
I'm very clear. People are to get up. Tara, you are the right person. I salute you. I mean, even in this difficult time, you are so strong. You are so firm. You are the role model. And you should tell Tara, I am telling, I am requesting.
I am an internally displaced person living in Delhi.
1 second, Tara. 1 second. I am making very, a strong statement. Any women in India having little bit of self-respect should boycott this government and not vote for this government. Any women having little bit self-respect.
We are doing that. We are trying to do that. Yeah.
Any women. And why only women? Now, when I start with women, Guru Nanak Dev Ji said that any society which does not respect women would not survive. So therefore, not only every woman, every man having little bit of conscience should boycott this Sarkar and not vote for them after this Manipur, whatever happened in Manipur. Your Jawan's wife is being paraded. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I mean, we can only plead. What do we do? I mean, sitting in New York, I tell you, Samir, I mean, spend hours and hours just on seeing what is happening in India, just putting my points, whatever I can do. But these people are shameless, shameless people.
Yeah.
I mean, at the parliament, they are shouting 400 ki sir, 400. Shameless parliamentarians. 99% parliamentarians are shameless. Let them summon me in parliament. I will prove them. 99% parliamentarians, especially belonging to the ruling class, are shameless. They don't say that will not allow parliament to function. They are shouting Modi, 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 Modi. What is they are slaves? Even the animals do not do that. If don't, I mean, respect the pet, he would, the pets, they make faces, you know. If you don't respect a pet, he would make faces, he or she. But these parliamentarians are worse than animals. Well, they're worse than pet animals. What to do? Tara is such shameless. I mean, I belong to a society. I mean, that is why I say, when I say judicial system, I first include lawyers. Why the lawyers did not make statement? We, of course, I expose them every time I said you are not performing their duty. You can see, Tara, the couple of latest YouTube, I say they're all my junior. They are junior to me. All of them are junior. If Chief Justice is junior, that means everybody, every judge is a junior. I call them, I tell them, मेरे छोटे भाई बहन, मैं इनको क्या बताऊं? ये अपना काम ही नहीं करते. ओथ लेके राजा बने हुए हैं. People call them my lord. Do they deserve it? They don't deserve it. After
So, Ashokji, I have a
Supreme Court,
question
everything
here.
should have stopped. They should have said, till Manipur is put to right, will not deal with any other case. All courts dealing with that.
And I want to bring a aspect here,
Shameless
Ashokji.
people, I'm saying shameless. I'm using this word shameless. 99% parliamentarian shameless. Supreme Court totally failed India. Lawyers of Supreme Court, lawyers of India failed India. Lawyers were responsible.
Everybody.
Lawyers got us freedom. And today, see what the lawyers are arguing. They say, don't disclose these secrets. Salve, Attorney General, Solicitor General, Mukul Rohtgi, all the so-called, I call them so-called top lawyers. They are not top lawyers. I mean, somebody making good money is not top lawyer. Top lawyer is who's having heart at right place. They are all slaves. They are slaves. I remember Iqbal, what Iqbal said, पानी पानी कर गई मुझको कलंदर की वो बात जब भी गिरा तू गैर के आगे ना तन तेरा ना मन. These are the people, ना इनका तन है ना मन है, इतने गिरे हुए इंसान है, क्या उम्मीद करोगे? तो therefore, Tara, people like you, Paranjoy is there. Paranjoy has been fighting. You know, he was also troubled. His society, his colleagues were troubled. What are they doing? Media is under their control. Somebody who speaks like Paranjoy or Bhasha or Arfa or anybody, Prasun Bajpai, Ravish, they trouble them. What? There's no democracy. There is no democracy, Samir. I mean, you see VDM as institute, you see Freedom House, every person with credibility is saying there is no democracy. Is total Hitler shy? I don't know how long Hitler would continue. I am not sure. I mean, Paranjoy, you would tell us whether is there any chance for anybody. I'm hearing lot of good news from Maharashtra, Karnataka, Bihar, even Delhi. We are getting good news, but the problem is, as Karl Marx said, they are only talking of Mandir. इतनी घटिया स्पीचेस मैंने लाइफ में नहीं सुनी है. इतनी घटिया स्पीचेस. लोग कहते हैं कि यार सावन में मीट खा रहे हैं. सावन में मीट खा रहे हैं is the agenda. My goodness. And your minister's daughter is selling beef in Goa. That you don't. I mean, your minister's daughter is selling beef in Goa. And you are telling कि सावन में मीट खा रहे हैं. कितनी बेशर्मी से. I mean, मेरी माँ कहती थी, बेटा बंदा ढीठ चाहिए, शर्म तो आनी जानी चीज है. मेरे को लगता है. समीर, Paranjoy, you tell us. I mean, I'm sorry, I get emotional.
Ashok ji, thank you for all that you have said. Agnostos, may I make a few general observations on what I've heard?
We are waiting for your. I mean,
to Tara and what Ashok ji has said. And after that, if you have any specific questions to ask me, I'll be happy to answer you. I'll try and answer them to the best of my ability. My first, I have a few observations of what has just been said on Manipur. Now, to me, the fact that our Prime Minister has spoken so little, has not visited that state over the last year, tells a story in itself. Shri Narendra Modi, who has campaigned in every state in this country before elections, in the recent elections that took place in the neighboring state of Mizoram, he did not campaign. First time ever. it is said that Mr. Narendra Modi, under Narendra Modi, one thing he knows very well is how to win elections. Is it that he gave up the fight in Mizoram? Now, we'll have to wait and watch what happens. But to me, from a distance, it appears that what has happened in Manipur is a very complex story. And I don't pretend to know or answer. I don't know the details, but it's a very complex issue. There is a ethnic angle, there is a religious angle, there is an issue of neighboring countries, Myanmar in particular. There is an issue of narco-terrorism. But what has happened in the state of Manipur and the Prime Minister's, what can I say? The few utterances that he made after the whole country saw these shocking videos of women being stripped naked and being filmed and then that being distributed. To me, if it does not shake the conscience of the people of this country, and in particular the women of this country, then I will have nothing more to say. What Ashok Arora ji has said is very, very significant. And let me now ask him a question. Because today we are recording this program over the weekend. It is Sunday in India. For Ashok ji, it must be Saturday or late night on Saturday. But this coming week, the Supreme Court is scheduled to hear several important matters. And some of these cases could have a bearing on the future of this country, not just in terms of the way our election system is held, the way the electronic voting system has taken place, but also the overall atmosphere, the political atmosphere, the environment in which we are living in. In my opinion, the arrest of the Chief Minister of Delhi, at the time, the model code of conduct was in force. And he's the incumbent Chief Minister. Earlier, it was the Chief Minister of Jharkhand, Hemant Soren, and he resigned and then he was arrested. I am not aware, and Ashok ji can correct me if I'm wrong, whether an incumbent Chief Minister has ever been arrested in such a manner during the model code of conduct when elections are scheduled to begin from the 19th of April and will go over a long period of time all the way up to the 1st of June, and we'll have to wait for the 4th of June for the results of those elections to be announced. Now, the first point is that why is it taking so long? Is it for the convenience of some people? Or is it the incompetence of the Election Commission of India? We've seen what happened recently. Election Commissioner resigned from his post under very unusual circumstances. I'm talking about Shri Goel, Arun Goel. We have seen two new election commissioners being appointed. We are still waiting to know whether the Supreme Court, what its verdict would be on the whole issue of counting the VVPAT slips. VVPAT, Voter Verifiable Paper Audit Trail. Right now, these VVPAT slips are looked at. I mean, it's what can I say? It's a joke. If 5 randomly chosen VVPAT slips in a Vidhan Sabha or a state assembly constituency is chosen, then in a Lok Sabha constituencies, instead of 5, it might be 25, 20, 25, whatever be. But you look at the size of the electorate, look at the number of voters, you're counting them in hundreds of thousands. Is this a way of verifying the authenticity? There are several reports that have appeared about how the voters are not sure that if they have pressed the button on a particular symbol, whether their vote has gone to that particular candidate, whether it has been recorded as cast, and whether it is counted in the name of that specific candidate. The Election Commission of India has just keep saying everything is fine, there's nothing wrong with the electronic voting system. They are not even meeting the members of the opposition party to listen to their points of view. I have published a book 2 years ago, it's called Electoral Democracy. It is available in English, it's available in Hindi. Your viewers can visit my website, which is called paranjoy.in, and go to the book section. You can buy and you can read for yourself. This is not my view. This is the view of experts, computer scientists, civil servants who have conducted elections, social activists, journalists, and so on. The question that one needs to ask, why have so many, not just developed countries, but developing countries gone back to the paper ballot? And whenever it is argued that maybe should we go back to the paper ballot, they're saying you want to turn the clock back, you want to go back in time. The question that needs to be asked is, does the ordinary voter know that if I'm pressing that button on the symbol of a particular candidate, whether my vote has been recorded as such, whether it has been
Pranjoy,
we are waiting to see what the Supreme Court will say on Tuesday, the 16th. Yes, please, Ashokji.
I would quickly respond to Pranjoy's two very important, pertinent questions right now here, because I am to leave. Pranjoy, on arrest, I am very clear. Number one, this arrest was illegal. It was totally politically motivated. It was a case where you can say the person is being charged for death, but there is no dead body. Money trail, nothing is recovered. For 2 years, if you could wait for another 60 days also. That is number one point. It is illegal. But then again, I find fault with lawyers also. मैंने तो बोला कि that stupid lawyer who argued for him. You cannot ask the court to declare it illegal. You should know the law. You should know the law before you argue the law. वो the शायर says धूप में निकलो, घटाओं में नहा कर देखो और जिंदगी क्या है किताबों को हटा कर देखो. The lawyer should have known that on these grounds I ask for bail. I don't ask the court to declare the arrest illegal, because arrest, if an allegation is made out, you cannot say arrest is illegal. You can tell the world it is not justified. But then the lawyer should have argued, give him bail on these grounds, that this is motivated, political motivated. 9 exculpatory statements made by the approver. Approver himself was in jail. Approver gave 55 crore to the party and approver is out. Now I am in. So these are all good grounds for bail, for not declaring arrest illegal. So first I find fault with my class, the lawyer. And when I say my class, the defense lawyer. Then the Sarkari Vakil. Sarkari Vakil is also dishonest. Sarkari Vakil's job, the public prosecutor's job, is not to see that people go to jail. Public prosecutor's religious duty, ethical duty, moral duty, legal duty is to see injustice is not done. But unfortunately, these Sarkari Vakils are, most of them, 99.9% are slaves of government, and that to Hitler government. So he also did not guide the court. Now I come to the court. Court also was, I say, innocent. I can only say innocent. वो बेचारी कोर्ट को पता ही नहीं कि मैंने oath क्या लिया है. That judge Pranjoy, what you said, judge was not aware that he is deciding the constitution. Judge thought I am deciding a bail application or illegal arrest application. This arrest has implication all over the country, whether the democracy will survive or not. Judge should have said, you are asking this to be illegal. I don't declare it to be illegal. You are asking public prosecutor to keep him in jail. I am not keeping him in jail. I am releasing him on bail. Nobody stopped judge to do that. But the poor judge, sorry, she did not know. She does not know the oath, what she has undertaken. The oath she has taken is to protect the constitution. I mean, unfortunately, we don't provide training to these judges. Imagine a high court judge, a lady judge. Ladies, we thought, are more compassionate than men. Is so I mean, heartless person deciding the case like a computer. The high court judge, that Swaran Kanta, I don't know what is her full name, decided the case like a computer. Artificial intelligence would have done better justice than this computer judge. That you are asking me to decide it is illegal, it is not illegal, dismiss. What is this? What are you doing? So Pranjay, that is why I am not sure what the Supreme Court will do. If they don't plead it, and Supreme Court also closes its eyes to the reality, to the real purpose for which they have taken oath, they may also say, no, it is not illegal, go for bail. And then you go keep on fighting till 4th June. And these people, those who have taken money on record through banking channel, as per Supreme Court, a party has received 8,000 crore of rishwat. It is not donation, because they gave contacts, they gave favors. 8,000 crore of rishwat, bribe taken by a party. All at least top 5 people should have been in jail now, if Supreme Court was taking action, or if Supreme Court was following whatever, observing whatever oath they have taken. But they are not. Most of them are just working like computer. And as far as last point, Pranjay, I am to leave. Ballot paper has been established again by Japan, Germany, America. You know it. Who would inform you better than anybody else? Why can't they do it with one stroke? That no EVM, just ballot paper. Let the election result be declared 2 days later. What is the problem? This poor election commission against slaves. The problem is most of the institutes are today slaves. They are not independent. Earlier election was held in 20 days. This poor, you say a lot, I say poor lot of 3, those election commission, they are holding it in 1.5 months. I don't know in how many months. What are they doing? What are they doing? Because, and I salute that man, I was earlier against him. I thought he is a slave. That is why he has been appointed in 48 hours, Arun Goyal or whatever the name was. He has resigned. My intuition says that he said, no, sir, itna nahi bikunga main. इतना नहीं बिकूंगा, मुझे जाने दीजिए. मुझे ऐसा लगता है उसने कहा होगा इतना नहीं बिकूंगा, मुझे जाने दीजिए.
You remember what happened to Shri Ashok Lavasa?
Yes, that is. I mean, he's from my college. I feel proud. He took stand
5 years ago. What happened?
Couple of years. We feel proud.
He was told.
Same thing. Arun also might have said, "Sir, my बाप इतना नहीं बिकूंगा, sir, मुझे जाने दीजिए." और उन्होंने कहा, "अच्छा, आप जाओ, हम दूसरा कोई जो बिक जाएगा वो ले आएंगे." तो जो बिक गए हैं वो दिख ही गए हैं, बिक रहे हैं. Election commission है कहाँ? There is no election commission. Pranjay, you know it better. There is no. They are all slaves. जो माई बाप कहते हैं वो करते हैं. इलेक्शन कितने नहीं तो इस स्टेटमेंट पे आप उसको डिसमिस कर देते हैं. यू शुड हैव एटलीस्ट इशूड अ नोटिस कि सावन में मीट खा रहे हैं, सावन में मीट खा रहे हैं. दिस इज इलेक्शन कैंपेन. यू आर जस्ट स्प्रेडिंग हेट्रेड. सावन में मीट खा रहे हैं, स्प्रेडिंग हेट्रेड. दिस पुअर इलिटरेट अनएथिकल इलेक्शन कमीशन शुड हैव नोन. They are all poor. I mean, sold commodities है Pranjay. बस एक ही उल्लू काफी है बर्बाद गुलिस्तान करने को. हर शाख पे उल्लू बैठा है. अंजाम गुलिस्तान क्या होगा? हर शाख पे उल्लू बैठा प्रंजय. आप और हम जो
अशोक जी,
इतने घंटे बोलते हैं, टाइम लगाते हैं, ऐसे नहीं कि कोई जरूरत नहीं, जरूरत है. एंड आई सल्यूट समीर. मेरे एग्जाम है, फाइनल एग्जाम है यहाँ पर. मैंने समीर, यू आर ऑलवेज सो पैशनेट, सो कमिटेड. आई कांट से नो टू यू. Let us, and Pranjay is coming, Tara is coming. Let's meet for a while, okay? कुछ बात निकलेगी तो दूर तक जाएगी. Okay, Samir, please.
Ashok ji, my one question. You've spoken very passionately about Judiciary and Election Commission. I think today these are the two institutions which are most needed. I have two questions about both. You also spoke very informatively for me that what is the role of the public prosecutor. From the Manipur matter, I want to bring out two things. One is the ASG, Tushar Mehta. In the Manipur matter, he doesn't let the lawyers of the other side speak and talk about the amount of guns which have been stolen. Supreme Court, what it has done, and I am not aware that, if my sharing this can be taken as I don't know, legally there may be some word, but I need to tell the people of this country the aspect which you said I resonate with, that this is a civil war and everything should have stopped. And maybe I felt that the Supreme Court should have moved itself to Manipur and said that we will sit here and resolve this. But the exact opposite happened. In September, the CGI in open court says we don't have time to listen to this every week. In open court, that was his statement. And then the next date was given for after 2 months. 2 dates happened in which also there was a lot of drama wherein my lawyers who are representing me, who were supposed to make submissions, in the middle of the hearing, without filing those documents, they walk out. So obviously there was something which happened behind doors. December 15th was the last date, and since then the court has not even heard this matter. And I have filed requests for the matter to be heard sooner. I have filed letter to matter not be deleted. The court appointed committee went to the court and said matters are grave on the ground, you should do something. We've done mentioning also, but now that still after that also the matter has been pushed to 29th April. So almost 5 months, 4.5 months in a civil war, court hasn't heard this matter. I know you're in a hurry, so I'll also come to the next question, which is about the Election Commission. Based on everything that we've seen, which has transpired in the last few days, the electoral bond verdict which has come on, and I would like Paranjoy also to come in on this and share his input. Electoral bond verdict is that this entire scheme was unconstitutional. Now, if a scheme is unconstitutional, then all the money which has been taken through an unconstitutional scheme, there is a question mark on that also. Today, there is about 16,000 crore in the hands of almost all political parties. And are we going to go into the general election, which will decide the state and future of this country? And mind you, there is another aspect that this verdict has come after 7 long years. So if the court has taken 7 years, in that period, parties have managed to take in this 16,000 crores. Otherwise, there would have been a break at 500 or 1,000 crores, is what others tell me, had the court immediately
समीर, मैं
put
आपको
a stay.
क्विकली दोनों चीजों का आई क्विकली रिस्पॉन्ड टू बोथ योर क्वेरीज. जो आपने तुषार मेहता का बताया, तुषार मेहता भी तो सरकारी वकील है ना, उसका काम सरकार को प्रोटेक्ट करना है. उसका टाइम, उसका वो ये सोचता है, मैं ये नहीं सोचता. सरकारी वकील जैसे ने बताया, उसको लगता है कि मेरे को तो अमित शाह लाए हैं. अब तुषार मेहता को तो कोई जानता नहीं था, आपने नाम नहीं सुना होगा, जब से बीजेपी आई है उस तभी से नाम आया. तो वो ये लोग जो हैं ये गुलाम हैं, पार्टीज के नहीं, ये व्यक्तियों के गुलाम. क्योंकि अमित शाह के आप आदमी हैं, इसलिए आपको वो कहना है जो अमित शाह चाहते हैं. आप ये, आपको शायद पता होगा इनकी बैकग्राउंड, वो संजीव भट्ट के जो आज अंदर है, ये उसके दोस्त थे. ये उसको वो उसके खिलाफ कुछ ना कुछ करके पता नहीं क्या करके आए हैं. मतलब आप सोचो, मतलब ऐसे लोगों को आप सरकारी वकील बना देते हैं. मैं तो सोलिसिटर जनरल कहते हैं, नहीं सरकारी वकील है. ये सरकारी वकील भी अपनी ड्यूटी ऑनेस्टली नहीं करते, ये गुलाम बन के करते हैं. सरकारी वकील को चाहिए सर, मैं मणिपुर जल रहा है, सबसे पहले आप मणिपुर डिसाइड करेंगे सर. वो ये लोगों को बोलने नहीं देता. ये कोर्ट में गुंडागर्दी करते हैं. एक्चुअली दे बुली पीपल. आई अंडरस्टैंड समीर व्हाट यू आर सेइंग कि आपके वकीलों को बोलने नहीं देते, तो कोर्ट क्यों नहीं रोकती कि मिस्टर तुषार यू कीप योर माउथ शट, लेट अस लिसन टू द विक्टिम. तो कोर्ट विक्टिम को नहीं सुन रही, कोर्ट सरकारी वकील को सुन रही है. तो क्या होगा? मेरा कातिल ही मेरा मुंसिफ है, क्या मेरे हक में फैसला देगा? ये हालत बहुत खराब है समीर जी. बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, ये सरकारी वकील, इनके कोई दीन ईमान नहीं है, कोई दिल नहीं है. और दूसरी बात जो आप कह रहे हो इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड की, मैंने शायद आपने परंजय पता, वो दीपक शर्मा वाले शो में बात कर रहे थे, ये तो ऑन रिकॉर्ड आपने बैंकिंग चैनल से रिश्वत ली है और सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कह दिया वो इलीगल है. तो ये लोग प्रोसिक्यूट क्यों नहीं हो रहे? यू आर राइट, ये तो इलेक्शन से पहले होना चाहिए ना. ये थोड़ी इलेक्शन बना के फिर उसको बना दोगे, फिर 6 साल लटकता रहेगा. कितने सक्सेसिव CJIs sold their conscience by not deciding electoral bond matter. Let them summon me, I'll prove it. Successive CJIs sold their conscience by not deciding electoral bond case.
For
आज वो जब जनता को जब पता
more
लग
than
गया
6 years, for more than 6
मैं
years.
कभी तो कह सक्सेसिव सारे गिन लो 17 से लेके आज तक 24 तक जितने भी महापुरुष हुए, महापुरुष कहेंगे उनको, जो महापुरुष जो कहेगा, तो समीर यू आर राइट, दे शुड हैव बीन इन जेल. जेल में तो इन लोगों को होने चाहिए जिन सब ने पैसा दिया है, जिन्होंने लिया है. वो अभी उसका ध्रुव राठी का तो फार्मा कंपनी लोगों की जान ली है, जिन फार्मा कंपनीज ने, उन फार्मा कंपनीज से इलेक्ट्रल बॉन्ड लेके, वो यूपी में भी जैसे वो डबल इंजन सरकार है आप कहते हो, यूपी में, राजस्थान में, महाराष्ट्र में, वहां पर लोगों की जान जहां गई है, उन फार्मा कंपनीज ने इलेक्ट्रल बॉन्ड से रिश्वत दी है और उन पे केस नहीं चले.
अशोक जी,
उज्बेकिस्तान में वहां बच्चों की डेथ हुई है, बच्चों की डेथ हो गई है, जिनमें वहां पे 20-20 साल फॉरेन कंट्री में लोगों को सजा हुई है. यहाँ पर इन्होंने कह दिया नहीं नहीं ये तो कॉम्प्रोमाइज हो सकता है, वो कंपाउंडेबल कर दिया इन्होंने. बताओ तो क्या
अशोक जी,
इनकी तो आवाज यही है कि आप अपना प्रोग्राम करो, हम करें, जनता को जगाएं, जनता को बताएं, जनता से पूछे आपस में मिलके. वो कौन कहता है कि आकाश में सुराख हो नहीं सकता, एक पत्थर तो तबीयत से उछालो यारो. ऐसा नहीं है, पूरी उम्र को कोई लिखवा के नहीं आया. मैं तो रात इंदौरी का वो बड़ा अच्छा हुआ है कि किराएदार हैं, जाति मकान थोड़ी है.
अशोक जी जो कहा, मैं दो चार बात जोड़ना चाहता हूं.
यार मेरी दूसरी मीटिंग शुरू हो चुकी है, दे आर सेंडिंग मी मैसेजेस.
चलिए.
हाँ, आप बता दो. प्रंजय आपके पास मेरा नंबर है, मेरे पास भी है.
हाँ, मैं आपके साथ किसी वक्त.
तारा, थैंक यू वेरी मच. सॉरी आई एम टू लीव, बट तारा का नंबर समीर मेरे को प्लीज भेज देना. शी इज सच ए पैशनेट एंड सच ए स्ट्रांग वुमेन. आई मीन दीस टाइप ऑफ पीपल आर रिक्वायर्ड. रोल मॉडल. तारा, आई सैल्यूट यू. मेरा नंबर आप समीर दे देगा. वैसे मेरा ईमेल बहुत सिंपल है, ashok.arora2310 gmail.com. नहीं तो आप समीर से ले लेना. मेरा सारे यूट्यूब में मेरा ईमेल होता है. समीर आपको नंबर दे देंगे, आप लिख लीजिए 9810062089.
62089.
हाँ, ये मेरा खाली व्हाट्सएप नंबर ही है, +91 आपको लगाना होगा.
Okay.
आपके पास तो है ही, मैं बात करूंगा जल्दी. समीर,
before you leave, Ashok ji, just one closing question. Should elections be held with $2 billion of illegal money in the hands of political parties?
मैं तो कह रहा हूँ इसको अभी इलेक्शन, इनको कहें बैलेट पेपर से होगा, 15 दिन बाद प्रोसेस शुरू करिए, कोई बात. ये बीजेपी भी खुश हो जाएगी, उनकी हालत बहुत खराब है. मैंने आपको कहा था इलेक्शन, अगर इनकी जो इंटेलिजेंस रिपोर्ट ठीक नहीं हुई तो इलेक्शन होगा नहीं. ये पहले भी मेरे को भी लगता था, और अब मेरे को लगता है अब इस बात पे शायद ये खुश भी हो जाएंगे कि कोई बात नहीं, महीना बाद इलेक्शन हो जाएगा, क्या आफत है. With this illegal money you can't hold the election. And illegal money should be refunded. Supreme Court ने order क्यों नहीं किया कि you refund this money, put it for child care, send it to Manipur, all this money for victims rehabilitation.
For rebuilding a home. We are living outside.
ये सारा पैसा मणिपुर भेज देना था, कुछ नहीं करना. Why can't, I mean, Supreme Court इनके, I'm sorry,
हम लोग election boycott कर रहे हैं, women लोग. We are boycotting the election, the women.
Only boycott नहीं तारा, आप तो हिंदुस्तान की सारी women को कहिए, 11 साल की बच्ची को भी कहिए कि बच्ची देखो आपके मम्मी पापा किसको वोट दे रहे हैं, पूछिए जरा मम्मी पापा से.
हम लोग किसको वोट दे देंगे? हमारे पास घर नहीं है, हमारे पास जमीन नहीं है, हमारे पास
for whole India, Tara, you are not alone, we are all with you. That is what I am saying. The whole India.
Why should we keep voting for the people who destroy us? Who doesn't care for us?
जैसे कहा इलेक्शन बायकॉट होना चाहिए, पूरा हिंदुस्तान बायकॉट करे, नो इलेक्शन.
See, that is the point that Ashok ji is making. The point that she's making is what happened in Manipur.
Yes.
Is a shame for all the women of India and for all the women of this world. So you don't think you're alone.
No, that is what I say. Nobody, I mean, having self-respect should even think of voting for this sarkar. Nobody. इतना ने जो जुल्म किया है.
Additionally, I would like to add that Manipur, billions of dollars and decades of money and time spent by agencies across the board has all gone down the drain because the amount of arms and ammunition which have gone missing.
Yes.
has compromised national security the way it was never done in independent India's history.
Let
They
me
have
Same. That
themselves.
is
let
why I
me
said
point.
parliamentarians. मैं तो
Let me
उनसे
just
शुरू
make
किया
two or
और
three
they all
points.
should feel ashamed. जो बैठे थे
No,
पार्लियामेंट में और
let's just make a
मोदी मोदी
point.
कर रहे थे.
Please, so Ashok ji,
Thousands.
we know you have to go. We
Yeah.
will let Ashok ji go, and Paranjoy, please continue.
Sorry,
Okay.
sorry. Taras,
Thank you
mic
so
is
much.
up to you. I'll
It's
be
all
in
right.
touch.
You see, the point is, to add to some of the points that he's made, I'll first make a few observations on what is happening in Manipur and then on the issue of electoral bonds, because this has been a rather freewheeling conversation on several subjects. When you look at this, has been a point that has been mentioned. In recent times, never have so many weapons been looted from the armories of the armed forces, paramilitary forces, security forces, local police authorities. Now, what is going on? I mean, this is even reluctantly, even the government has acknowledged. That's one point I wanted to make. And if the government thinks that you are having a civil war in one part of the country and it, who cares kind of thing, I'm sorry, you will, in my opinion, that's a completely wrong way of looking at things. I want to make a few observations on what has been said by Adv Ashok Arora on the electoral bonds matter. You see, electoral bonds, they are, as you rightly pointed out, roughly 16,000 crore rupees. Now, we know exactly how the whole system works. The names, I mean, remember that the State Bank of India not only uttered untruths, called them lies, by not disclosing what was going on. I mean, even the fact that they had a unique number, serial number to each bond, and that this could be visible if you look at it through ultraviolet rays, rather reluctantly, the State Bank of India has. I mean, who is the State Bank of India? State Bank of India is India's largest bank. Who does the State Bank belong to you? It belongs largely to you, me, and the people of this country. And you think you can get away by uttering untruths, lies through their advocate of the bank, Shri Harish Salve, to the Supreme Court of India, headed by the Chief Justice of India? That's only one point. What will happen? What should happen? Is this the declaration of these bonds, more than 16,000 crores worth of being declared illegal, unconstitutional? What happens to this money? This question remains unanswered. Has this judgment been taken with prospective effect? You haven't taken a decision on this judgment by when? For when? For more than 6 years. Now what do you do? Where do you go from here? But there's a second point which is, I think, equally important. The amount of money that has come in electoral bonds, and we know the quid pro quo, you are bribing yourself to protect yourself from the enforcement directorate and other law enforcing agencies. It's become a source of bribes so that you get contracts and you get licenses. This has become a means of extortion. This has become a means of money laundering, using different sources. I mean, we all knew about the Lottery King having donated a huge amount of money, which went to not the BJP, to other parties. But then much later, thanks to the investigations done by journalists and financial analysts like Himendra Hazari in Mumbai, we got to know that there was a secondary market for these electoral bonds. I mean, there was a gap of roughly about 15 days. And in this money, it was being traded. And you had one non-banking financial company headed by the Kotak Group, the Kotak, the bank, the Kotak Bank, headed by Shri Uday Kotak. And everything falls into place. It's in the public domain. And a huge amount of money. Not directly through one non-banking financial corporation, but through several others. I mean, what is going on? Now, ordinary people can say, this is so what's new. हमारे देश में तो हमारे जो बड़े बड़े राजनेता है तो हर समय रिश्वत लेता है, तो इसमें नया क्या है? So what is so new? What is so unique about India's, the association between business and politics, between corrupt business persons and corrupt politicians? Yes, you can say that. But today we have names. Today we have dates. Today we have amounts. But remember, 16,000 crores is only a very small amount of money. When you look at the total amount of money that is currently being spent and will be spent in the coming weeks and months up to the time the elections are concluded, I will argue that it's a small proportion. Now, for instance, money has come in through other routes. For instance, the electoral trusts route. Some of India's best known names, Airtel, Sunil Bharti Mittal, the Vedanta Group, several other groups, they've set up electoral trusts just to sit. And as in the case of electoral bonds, you've changed the rules. So loss-making companies, these shell companies, are being used. I'll give you one example. One of the major suppliers of anti-COVID vaccines was the Serum Institute. It's not an institute, it's a private company. It's controlled by the Poonawalla family. Now you see the amount of money they gave through electoral trusts. The question that people are today asking, to what extent is this money given to the Bharatiya Janata Party through an electoral trust by this corporate conglomerate? Does it have any association to this corporate conglomerate called the Serum Institute? It's a private company becoming a major supplier and manufacturer of anti-COVID vaccines. So, it's not just the nexus between business and politics. You are dealing with a system which is opaque. When the late Shri Arun Jaitley as Finance Minister of India announced the scheme for the first time in February of 2017, he said this is a way of ensuring greater transparency in political funding. We don't speak ill of the dead in India, I was told, but I knew the late Shri Arun Jaitley, but this was a lie. This was an untruth. This was a system that made the funding of political parties, the funding of elections, the funding of candidates, the funding of election campaigns more and more opaque. Ekdam pardarshita ka viprat. And today we know it. The Supreme Court may have taken years to put it. Today we know exactly how it has happened. So when you have such a rotten system, it's all very fine for the ordinary people to say, इसमें नया क्या है? Or the Bharatiya Janata Party to say, अरे देखो हमने क्या पैसा लिया? अरे ये देखो DMK, द्रविड़ मुन्नेत्र कळघम हमने लिया, Indian National Congress ने लिया, तृणमूल कांग्रेस ने लिया, BRS यानी कि भारत राष्ट्र समिति, इन लोग सब. 1 minute. Are two wrongs, do they make a right? And remember, as in the case of electoral bonds, the bulk of this money, more than half of this money, has gone to the ruling dispensation headed by the Bharatiya Janata Party. So it's, you can say, this is the way it was provided, and others did it also. Who is more culpable? Who is more responsible for the corruption in the system? And we'll have to wait and watch and see what happens in the years, in the months ahead, in the coming weeks ahead. And let's see how these elections are conducted. And we'll have to wait and watch.
And wait. My question here is that, the electoral bond verdict took 7 long years to come. And now, like I was mentioning, there is this election again. 2019 election was also fought with money, which was partly money which was collected through electoral bonds. Now we have the next general election. Um, Now, another interesting thing is that the 2019 election, the VVPAT slips were destroyed within 4 months, while the rule says they have to
and this is
retain.
and this is against the rules. This is against the government and the election commission's own rules. And why are the VVPAT slips printed on what is called thermal paper? It disappears. I mean, after a while, whatever's printed on those slips of paper disappear. Yes, go on.
Besides disappearance, they destroyed the VVPAT slips within 4 months, despite the government or the ECI rule itself saying you have to retain it for 1 year.
Absolutely.
Now,
This is
my
what
question
the journalist Poonam Agarwal, the same person who investigated these the
electoral
work
bonds.
on electoral bonds, that they had a unique serial number. She was the one who talked about all this, and the complete mismatch between what you are showing in one set of documents and what you're recording. I mean, you're seeing a huge difference. In certain cases, it's a substantial difference, which could make all the difference between the victory or the defeat of particular candidates. That you're showing something, number of votes that have been put on the electronic voting machine, and the number of votes that have actually been counted. Yes, please continue.
So my question is that, as a common person who doesn't understand the legalities of laws and rules and regulations, but as a just a common sense perspective, to me there are two three very very clear things. Thing number one is that if there is 16,000 rupees of what is now
16,000
declared,
crore rupees.
16,000
16,000.
crores, my apology, 16,000 crores of what is now illegal money in the hand of political parties. Uh, how can we hold elections with that? Number one. Number two, in the recent past, we have now also seen that how this party has conducted itself in Manipur, putting the entire national security at jeopardy. We've seen how they conducted the Chandigarh mayor polls. Uh, Thankfully, the Supreme Court was able to catch them because there were videos available. Otherwise, they would have gotten away with that also. Uh, we've seen the hate and polarization that they have created across the country, and they continue to do this. And the Prime Minister says things which are quite unbecoming of a Prime Minister. And again, it is all just about bringing religion as a tool for what the British used to do, divide and rule, quite categorically. With all of
May
that,
I may I use this opportunity to tell all the people who are viewing this program, please see a video that I have produced with a team of people. It's called Sahib. It's available on Paranjoy online, the YouTube channel. Please have a look at it. This is precisely the point that is being raised. Please go on.
and I highly recommend everyone to watch that. It's a really well scripted, well made video, and I also encourage people to go to Paranjoy's website and buy the books, because there is so much research that Paranjoy and his team and other people have done and created books, which are
In different
really.
languages.
And one book which I will certainly want you to speak about is the Rafael deal. And but coming back to what we were speaking, that on the 15th of March, before the Election Commission announced the election, I wrote to the Election Commission that number one, based on the BJP's conduct in the mayor polls, Chandigarh mayor polls. Secondly, coming up with a scheme which has now been declared unconstitutional, but which the RBI and the Election Commission of India itself had warned against right at the start.
One second. Yeah, let me here intervene briefly to say something here. From the time Mr. Jaitley announced the electoral bond scheme, which was in February of 2017, to the time the rules and regulations were put together and the bonds were made available for sale and people could buy it, there was almost a year, about 11 months passed. And during this period, today, thanks to intrepid journalists, investigative reporters, right to information activists like Commodore Lokesh Batra, who retired as a Commodore of the Indian Navy, several others. I'm missing out on some names. I mentioned Poonam's name already. You got to know that within the government, within the Ministry of Finance, within the Election Commission of India, within the country's central bank and apex monetary authority, the Reserve Bank of India, there were voices of dissent. People put down their reservations in writing, but their apprehensions, their reservations were just overlooked. Their views were completely ridden roughshod, completely ignored. Yes. So that is the point I was trying to make. Please continue. No, it seems that maybe there's a break in the program because of the internet connectivity. So before I wait for the host of this program to join, yes, he's rejoining us. There was a gap in the connectivity. So what I just wanted to add was that the elections this time are going to be crucial, in my opinion, for the future of democracy. Yes, please. You were wanting to say something.
My question is, Paranjoy, that not only are these elections crucial for democracy, for the constitution, for the people of India, for the nation's future, but my first and foremost question is that how can you hold elections when there is 16,000 crores of illegal money out in the hands of political parties? Number one. This is what I wrote to the Election Commission on the 15th of March.
Again, let me intervene. You have raised a very important question. But who will give you the answer to this question? Will the Chief Justice of India, the Supreme Court of India, give you the answer? Will the Chief Election Commissioner of the constitutional body called the Election Commission of India give the answer? Will the Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, give you an answer? You know, Mr. Modi has not addressed a press conference. He is the one and only Prime Minister of India who has, till date, over almost 10 years now, not held a single unscripted press conference, media conference of journalists, where anybody can ask him anything. And whether he answers them or not is a separate matter. Every single, I underline, every single Prime Minister of India has, at least on one occasion, taken spontaneously questions from journalists. Mr. Modi, on the other hand, has not. He has picked and chosen specific individuals who he will grant interviews to. Very often, like in the most recent case of Newsweek magazine, which is supposedly a very prestigious magazine which comes out from the United States, website and magazine. Well, your readers and your viewers should go and have a look at it and ask the question, why weren't any cross questions asked? Why was every single reply, the answer that was given by Prime Minister, not questioned? You know, I can go on and on. It's not just client journalists who have been granted interviews by Shri Narendra Modi. You remember in 2019 when he returned to power with a higher vote share, a higher number of seats, in the headquarters of the Bharatiya Janata Party, in the presence of large numbers of journalists, he kept quiet. It was the Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, who answered the question. Mr. Modi, only gives questions to people, only answers questions that he wants to be asked. I think provides answers to questions that he wants to ask. He grants interviews to people who act like his virtual like public relations officers. I'm sure your viewers will remember the famous interview he granted to this well-known actor, Akshay Kumar. And among many questions that Shri Akshay Kumar asked, our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, supposed to be the head of the world's largest democracy, what was the question he asked? मोदी जी मेरा ड्राइवर ने ये सवाल आपसे पूछने के लिए कहा आप आम कैसे खाते हैं आप काट के खाते हैं या चूस के खाते हैं Imagine the Prime Minister of India being asked these kinds of questions. That time would have been spent asking, okay, soft interview, lifestyle interview. So how does Mr. Modi like to eat his mangoes? So, we are in this kind of a situation that we are living in today in India, which in my humble opinion is unprecedented. Let's wait and watch what happens.
I believe, Tara, you have to leave. So, Tara, we'll thank you for joining us. Tara has another meeting to get into owing to the butchering which has happened in Manipur. And yeah, just
Before
before
I
you
leave,
leave, Tara,
I
please.
just want to ask one question to the nation. As an internally displaced person living in Delhi right now, how will I vote? The election commissioner has not made any arrangement for me and 2,000 people living here in Delhi who have come running, fleeing for their lives. No arrangement has been made. They have denied us our constitutional right to vote. Even if I want to vote, you know, any candidate I wish, I cannot vote now because it has been denied to me. This shows that I'm not considered a worthy citizen of India because my vote doesn't matter. To me, of course, I exercise my franchise every every 5 years, 5 years that we have election. I always have been exercising, but this time, no arrangement has been made for me to vote. So why will I vote? And whom will I vote for? Will I vote for double engine again, the BJP government in the center, and at a state who has done nothing for my people so far? I will not vote at all because I have been forced to boycott the election whether I want it or not. Because even if I want to vote, no arrangement has been made for me. So the whole world knows that we people have been denied our right to franchise. We cannot exercise our rights also, even to vote. So, so obviously, who come back to power, who come back to this thing, we will not be the deciding factor because we have been denied our rights to exercise our franchise. Thank you. That's what I want to say.
So, that's another very valid question. That again, we are having elections in Manipur when people are displaced. Roughly 70,000 people are displaced. So, out of them, how many are eligible voters, and how many of them will actually get to vote, or they will not be able to vote? That's also another question. And basis of this, on the 15th of March, I had written to the Election Commission two things. One is that the Election Commission should ban the BJP because of the blatant attempt at hijacking the Chandigarh mayor polls, coming up with an unconstitutional scheme like the electoral bond scheme, which the Election Commission, which the RBI had warned against, and which thankfully now the Supreme Court, despite 7 long years, has struck down. Also, there is this strategy of using religion for whatever they are doing, and which again is against the constitution. What they have done in Manipur not only has led to so many deaths and violence and destruction, it has also, once again, I repeat, caused the severe most harm and risk and damage to our national security, which this country will have to pay. And now we are at a threshold where the entire Northeast can be destabilized because you have so many arms and ammunition. The army itself is facing trouble. So basis of these, I had asked the election commission to ban the BJP, and now I have through an RTI asked them, what have you done about that letter? Paranjoy, you were saying that, and if need
Yeah.
be,
And
we
if
will
you
go.
don't mind, if you can make these my closing remarks, whatever you want or don't want is immaterial. Whether you want the political party which is currently in power in India, that's the Bharatiya Janata Party, to ban, they can say you are entitled to your opinion. We have Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution of India. Freedom of expression is a fundamental right. Whether the Bharatiya Janata Party will be banned, I think it's most unlikely. It has been in power earlier also, but over the last 10 years or so, since May 2014, it has been in power. In 2019 May, the Bharatiya Janata Party got about 38% roughly of the vote of the total numbers of people who cast their vote. That's roughly about 68% of those eligible to vote. And you are entitled to a view, but this is a situation which is, as I said many times before, unprecedented. Now, the Bharatiya Janata Party, in my personal opinion, is the political arm of the world's biggest non-government organization, which is unregistered. We don't know what its exact character is. It's supposed to be a social organization. That is the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, the RSS. I see the Bharatiya Janata Party as the political wing of the RSS. I see the RSS as the ideological parent of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Now, after the father of the nation, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, was assassinated on the 30th of January 1948, the government that was headed then by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, with Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel as its home minister, banned the RSS. Yeah, this is known. You can't completely whitewash every single history book. This is known. Everybody knows. Now, we can debate about the circumstances, who said what, Pandit Nehru, what he was, Sardar Patel, what he was. Mr. Narendra Modi's government has built this very huge statue towards Sardar Patel. I'm not a historian, I won't be getting into that. But at that time, yes, the ban on the RSS was imposed when he was the Home Minister. Banning a political party, banning a party which has been in power now for almost 10 years. Earlier it was in power too. It was heading coalition governments, first for 13 days in 1996, then for roughly 13 months in 1998, 99. And you remember that the Atal Bihari Vajpayee government lost a vote of confidence in the Lok Sabha by one vote, 1 out of 543. Then Mr. Vajpayee's government returned to power, and then, much to the surprise of everybody, the elections were brought forward by about 4 months. We are talking about what happened in 2004. After that, under Mr. Narendra Modi, the BJP has been continuously in power from May 2004 onwards. So we'll have to wait and watch what happens in the coming weeks and months. As I have said, and everybody knows, and all your viewers know, that from the 19th of April, the elections begin and will continue. When the hottest time of the year in India, right through April and May and early June too. The last round is supposed to take place on the 1st of June, and we'll know on the 4th of June. At least that's the schedule. Will it change? I don't know. I don't think so. But one can't never predict the future. We can't say what the Supreme Court would say about the VVPAT machines when the hearing is supposed to take place on Tuesday, the 16th of April. So we don't know. the future of this country. Yes, we are the world's biggest democracy. Are we the world's best democracy? Are we moving there? Or have we slid back to becoming an electoral autocracy? These are major subjects. These are issues that we can discuss. We've seen not just constitutional bodies like the Election Commission of India, the Controller and Auditor General of India. We've seen institutions, the media, of which I'm a part, the judiciary, the civil service, the bureaucracy, the military, the educational institutions of our country. We've seen how all these institutions, you could argue, have become more subservient to those in positions of power and authority than ever before. We've seen how law enforcing agencies, whether it be the Income Tax Department, whether it be the Central Bureau of Investigation, whether it be the Enforcement Directorate, whether it be bodies like the NIA, the National Investigating Agencies, whether it be bodies like NCB in charge of narcotics control, we've seen how all these organizations have not just been compromised but weaponized. Now you can argue even earlier, all these law enforcing agencies were misused by those in positions of power. But I personally, and this is my personal opinion, I don't think they have been weaponized to the extent it has over the last 10 years. And they've been used to target the political opponents of the ruling dispensation, those who are in parties in opposition. It includes journalists, people from my fraternity. So you have to just wait. I've run out of words to say. I have nothing more to add. Thank you very much.
So, Paranjoy, you brought a very important point that, we've fallen in so many things, and we've fallen in the democracy index, we've fallen in the hunger index, we've fallen in the press freedom index, and countless others. And then this, I think the closing thing that I would like is that the actual state of our democracy, maybe are we even an electoral autocracy when elections themselves and election results themselves and the electioning process through EVMs is in question. But my question is, can you give some experiences or insights or how you feel as a journalist when you see all form of dissent being strangulated, and the level of strangulation just differs from case to case. If it's Ladakh and if it's Sonam Wangchuk, if he's on a hunger strike, nobody bothers. But the moment he talks about taking a march to the border to show China has annexed our territory, Section 144 is imposed, and he's forced to repeat the lines where the farmer said that it feels like a war zone. The farmers were attacked with rubber bullets and pellets and tear gas shells, and a farmer was shot in the head, and there was sonic weapons which were deployed. Then you see that when Arvind Kejriwal is arrested, even journalists, the police went and grabbed the throat of one of the journalists, and the Press Council of India had to put out a statement. Twitter had to file a case that we have been threatened with, our staff has been threatened with imprisonment if we don't block these accounts. So this is just a, kind of scenario. The pressure and strangulation depends on the number of people and the circumstance. Do you want to just say something about this aspect, that when democratic voices and protest, which got us our independence, is being so badly strangulated? What is the state of our democracy?
I thought I had made my closing remarks, but you want me to comment again. I have very little to add. Yes, voices of dissent are being throttled. Those who say anything that is critical of the government, they are being dubbed as anti-national elements. We saw what happened in the case of the agitation by the farmers, led by the farmers of Punjab largely. Those 3 laws had to be taken back. We know how the Prime Minister gave a spin, saying, he used words like tapasya, he used words like shama, for the first time in a public speech. But eventually those 3 laws had to be taken back. We're also seeing crony capitalism and an oligarchy at, in my personal opinion, unprecedented peaks. There have been several studies, including one of which Professor Thomas Piketty was a part, which has argued that inequalities of income and wealth in India is widened. It's gone back to the level of the British colonial times. There are people who've argued that India has become the most unequal country in the world. We are certainly one of the most unequal countries in the world. Whether this will become an election issue? Inflation. Inflation, other than the free food grain that has been given and supposed to be reaching 80 crore, 800 million citizens. Each family is getting 25 kilograms of rice or wheat. 2.5, sorry, I've got that wrong.
5 kilograms.
5 kilograms of rice or wheat and 2.5 kilograms of chickpeas or chana ka dal. I'm sorry, that was a slip of my tongue. So we've seen the prices of other food grain, other cereals, other lentils, fruits, vegetables, onions, potatoes, etc. gone up hugely. This widens the inequality between the rich and the poor. Will this become an issue? How important is this an issue? Unemployment. We are not just the largest country in the world with 1.4 billion plus citizens. The median age of India is about 28 or 29. China, with a similar population, the median age is 38 or 39. We see youth unemployment, including largely young people who are supposedly have degrees, at a level which is highest in the last 4 decades, perhaps more than that. I believe this should become issues, not Islamophobia, not Hindu-Muslim, not India-Pakistan. But will they become important issues? That will matter. That will influence voting patterns. Instead of Mandir Masjid, Shamshan Ghat Kabristan, India, Pakistan, nationalism, कौन राष्ट्रवादी है और कौन गद्दार है, देशद्रोही है? These are all difficult questions to answer. We have faith in the wisdom of the electorate of this country. There may be many poor people, but they're not all, not all their brains have been brainwashed, they samajhdar hai. They are intelligent, they understand. Whether their votes will be recorded as they are cast, whether they'll be counted as they have been cast. These are issues that we've already discussed. So, world's biggest democracy, electoral democracy, can we become the world's best democracy? We are going through very, 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 very difficult times. I'm optimistic. We have to be optimistic. There's a very old saying in every country, every culture of the world, they talk about the darkest hour is just before the dawn. So are we going through Kali Yuga now? And do we see a dawn ahead of us? It's difficult to predict the future. I'm not an astrologer. I don't pretend to be a psephologist. I'm a journalist, I'm a publisher, I'm a documentary filmmaker, I'm a maker of music videos. That's all I know. I'm a communicator. I try and be a communicator. I've been one for the last 46 years. And in the last 46 years that I've been a journalist, I became a journalist because of the emergency. But we are in a different India, we are in a different world. So let's wait and watch, and maybe we can resume our conversation after the 4th of June. Thank you.
So, just from your aspect, which you said, the Prime Minister
Don't
gave a
ask me
spin.
any more questions, please. Don't
Absolutely
ask
not.
me any more.
I'm just going to make the closing statements and just give that how things have been spun around. Lately, what the Prime Minister did was he gave a spin to the electoral bonds also, that it was him, because of which today people are able to get details of who bought and who encashed, whilst his own government in court on affidavit has said that the people of India do not have the right to know this. The voters do not have the right to know this. He's quite um, a spin master at coming up with all these things, and using people's emotions and doing almost everything which the Constitution of India says these are things you don't have to do. It is because of this that our democracy has suffered. It is because of this that our economy has suffered. And going ahead, I will uh, try and get some speakers who are economists who will enlighten you on the actual state of our economy. I also want to say that, in my view, everything that has happened, the autocratic manner in which demonetization was executed, how lockdown was imposed, and because of demonetization, thankfully now we have a Supreme Court judge who said that demonetization was a complete failure. Why are people who came up with that scheme not in jail? Why are they still in power? Lockdown, we have seen, my generation at least has seen only photographs of partition, when people walked from one side of the border and came to India, and we saw similar scenes repeated on the streets and highways of India due to the sudden lockdown, unplanned lockdown, which led to so many deaths and which led to so much chaos and harassment for the person who didn't have anything. They walked for hundreds and thousands of kilometers and suffered. Overall, when I see how media is being treated, what is happening in Manipur, I have given it a term. And today, on the day of the Ambedkar Jayanti, the father of our constitution, I say that from a Ganatantra, we have become a Ganatantra. When I say a gun, I mean a arm, arms and ammunition. We have gone from a Ganatantra to a Gantantra. And I've actually written a book also about it. If you want, you can go on to my social media profiles, which are all Singisms, Singhisms. I'm going to upload that today. I have not put it out, but I think it's high time that the people of this country and elsewhere read that book and read and understand that we are really become a country which is no more really a republic, but it is a mobocracy, which was supposed to be the world's biggest democracy, has been turned into a mobocracy. It's also the Vaisakhi weekend, and I have a special request to my Sikh brothers and sisters. There is a lot of you who seem to have forgotten why Guru Gobind Singh Sahab formed the Khalsa Panth. Vaisakhi was a day when the Khalsa Panth was formed to stand up and do the righteous thing. Unfortunately, there are so many of you, even in positions in Sikh bodies, who are standing with a party like this, which is destroying our nation, who are separately also indulging in acts which should shame you and which should shame every Sikh. Today, I urge you, every Sikh, every Khalsa, that you need to remember what is Vaisakhi, what is Sikhism, and return to your roots. Righteousness, honesty, integrity. This is the need of the hour, and this is what the Panth was started and formed for, whether it was from Guru Nanak Sahib all the way to Guru Gobind Singh Sahib. And this land is a land for which they have given their everything, sacrificed their everything. So it is your moral duty, it is your responsibility to do everything to save this pious land, which is a land of, which is probably the holiest land, if we say, in the world, with so many gurus and peers and gods. Unfortunately, it is in a very bad state. And I humbly urge every citizen of India to save this land. I thank my guests for today who joined and shared in a no holds bar way everything the way it is. And maybe you will get enlightened and you will share this with your networks all across so that people know what are the real issues and what we are looking at. I'd also written a poem before the 2019 election wherein I had warned of everything which is going to happen. Unfortunately, it also turned out to be a premonition for COVID, wherein I spoke that our lungs will either get buried in the ground or will go up in smoke literally if this party comes back to power. And that's exactly what happened during COVID also. So today, I am again warning you, requesting you, we have to do everything to save this country because India matters. Thank you.